Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world. And whenever you are tuning into this video, my name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to the second edition of the Ruthless Talk Round Table. Our last edition, the first ever edition, we covered Survivor Series just a few months ago. We talked about that. It was a great time. And now it is time to talk about another big pay-per-view coming up, which is the Royal Rumble, which is 7 days away. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot to discuss. And as you can see, we got a bunch of people here. We're going to go through everybody, introduce everybody before we get into the Royal Rumble. We got a match card that we're going to dissect, make some predictions, and have some good conversation, man, some good debate. As you can see, there's some familiar faces here on this board, but also one new face that we have on this platform, and we'll get to him in just a second. But let me start off by introducing everybody. I want to start off with you, David. David, my man, who has been here pretty much since day one-ish, is for the
Yeah.
David, man, welcome back to the platform, man. How are you, brother?
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. I'm great, man. Just busy catching up with all the content. But I once you kind of mentioned this roundtable thing to me, I said I had to join. This is different. You guys are doing something different, very original, very new, fresh. So I think it's cool to see.
And let me get over to Jalen. Jalen, who was on our last roundtable, of course, from the Survivor Series roundtable, and he is back with us today. He was also at SmackDown, which was in Atlanta last night. So, Jalen, welcome back, man. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here, man. This is a fun thing to do all the time. I like talking wrestling with you guys. A lot's happened since Survivor Series, so I guess we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Lots to talk about. But appreciate you, Jalen, for coming back on. And, of course, we have Richie Mars is back. And, of course, me and Brian had the pleasure to be a part of his podcast. We talked about Bray Wyatt and that whole spiel that is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. So, Richie, welcome back to Ruthless Talk. How are you, my man?
Doing well. It's always an honor to be part of Prince Nana's favorite podcast team. So it's
that's right. That's right, man. If you guys follow us on frickin' TikTok and Instagram, you guys know the vibes, man. So, but Richie, man, appreciate you. And of course, make sure you guys go check out his podcast. That is Retold and Relive with Richie Mars. So he does a great job with his podcast that is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You check all of his episodes out, and I'll put links in the description for everybody's social medias so you guys can go check them out. And of course, last but not least, a new face that is on this platform. I'd like to introduce to you to Shane, a guy that we have met through TikTok, who came across this platform on TikTok, and he's been a tremendous supporter to the platform. And here he is going to be discussing some Royal Rumble talk with us. Shane, welcome to Ruthless Talk. I'm going to allow you to let you have the floor. Introduce yourself. The floor is yours, man. Take it away.
My name is Shane. I've been a wrestling fan, God knows, forever. So I'm just real happy to be on the platform. I'm really honored, and I appreciate the opportunity. So
of course, man,
absolutely welcome.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate the support, and we appreciate all you guys' support. Of course, you guys have been with us, supporting our platform since we honestly have started, man. So we appreciate everybody, all the support, and we appreciate you guys being here. So with all of that ooey gooey stuff out the way, let's talk some professional wrestling, shall we? We're going to dive straight into this. So, of course, the Royal Rumble, 7 days away. There's a lot to discuss, and a lot has happened, honestly, since we've had our last roundtable talking Survivor Series. A lot of big returns, a lot of big moments, and now there's even more buzz and even more intrigue going into WrestleMania as well as the Royal Rumble. So, but I want to talk first about the buildup, how we all feel about the buildup to this. Brian, kick us off, man. Your thoughts, your feelings about the buildup towards the Royal Rumble, how you feel about it and such. So, the floor is yours, man. Start us off. Take it away.
Yeah, it's been relatively decent, man. We've talked about it on our podcast. There's so much star power at the top, with obviously Punk coming back, Orton coming back, AJ Styles coming back. I think it's been an okay build up, and we could kind of start to see where they were headed. But honestly, man, now with Rollins, that just throws a wrench into a lot of things, man. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this Rumble plays out, with returns, who does win. Because I think just that one guy going down, man. It's just, I don't know. I really think this is going to be a really. I'm hoping maybe it's wishful thinking, but a really exciting Rumble, just because. I don't know. What's the record for like amount of returning superstars at any given event, man? Because I mean, there's some names here that really have a potential for returning. I mean, I do expect Brock at least to return. I got a handful of other names, man, but Drew McIntyre, man, I think he's been doing great. His heel character, his promos over the last couple weeks, I think have really, really been good.
Absolutely.
Shinsuke, we've talked about him and kind of where he's at. Both you and I, James, are fans of his gimmick and what he's doing right now, but just where he fits in the picture, But yeah, overall, and of course the main event. I mean, look, Roman isn't losing except at Mania. I think any logical wrestling fan is going to agree with that. So it'll just be interesting to see how this match plays out and who takes the pinfall. I expect Solo and Jimmy and Heyman to get involved to some degree. Brock, maybe. We'll see, man. But there's so many stars up here at the top, and now, like I said, with Rollins going out, you're going to have to fill that void somehow, man. So this Rumble, man, is really. It's got a lot of potential, I think, man, and so we'll see.
I'm kind of like how Brian was. I was taking notes literally right before we got on, and the build-up to the Rumble itself has been great. And that's for the men and the women's, because we can't forget about the women's build-up. It's actually been pretty solid. The rest of the pay-per-view doesn't have anything, it took me a minute to write. As I was writing down the matches, I was like, it's only 4 matches for the Rumble.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're going to do an hour and a half each Rumble, and then Roman take up about 20 minutes, and Jake and Logan Paul and KO take up another 15. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's a good thing, especially with Seth not being there. But like neither one of your women's titles are being defended.
Right.
Your tag titles. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the tag titles right now. Gunther came back for a week and didn't even he wasn't even out there. He was just there to be there, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like if they weren't going to have him compete at the Rumble, they could have had him come back afterwards.
Yeah,
it just didn't. It doesn't make sense. But for the Rumble itself, I do like the build up. I do like that they're doing the face to face with Punk and Cody this week. I have liked what they've done with the Fatal 4-Way. And Nick Aldis showing that power that he has. Roman, I did like the little hint at that Roman and Solo are kind of beefing right now, like internally. So, but also, like you said, it's a lot of time between now and Mania where a lot of stuff can go happen. And like I said, The Rock came back 2 weeks ago, and we hadn't heard anything. They hadn't even mentioned him since then. So you never know what's going to happen. But I think this will be a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you would think, right, because of how short this card is, because again, yes, and you're right, there are only 4 matches on this card. You got the 2 Rumble matches, and then you got the United States title match, and then you got, of course, the Fatal 4 match. So you would think, right, at least thinking positively, of course, you would think that something's got to happen, right? Not just like maybe a Brock Lesnar return, because we've seen that a time or two, but something's got to happen, you think. So, but we shall see, and we'll get more into it as we go on.
I'm very positive about the build up to the Rumble. Before we did the Survivor Series roundtable, it looked like everything in WrestleMania this year was going to be set in stone. But with Punk coming back, Rock coming back, everybody coming back, everything has been blown off the hinges as what the plan is going to be for Mania. And that's what makes this time very exciting. And I'll eat some crow here. And I said that we had a better chance of Colt Cabana coming back than Punk. So that's on me.
I was kind of leaning that way too, man. I didn't think at least this soon.
And of course, with Seth Rollins torn MCL, and I think it's a partially torn meniscus.
Yep.
Especially with the recovery time being what it is rumored to be. It's either he's just gonna make it or just not. So we don't really know the details until he talks on Raw on Monday. And I feel bad for Bronson Reed because it was kind of hinted at that he was going for a champion relatively soon. And I think that champion was going to be Seth Rollins because it just kind of makes sense that at Elimination Chamber, he would kind of get that shot while they would still kind of build Bronson up to be that fall guy to build Seth up even stronger to Mania. Obviously, that's not going to happen right now. And I think this is the first Rumble for both the men and the women where you have more than like 2 viable winners per Rumble match. And it makes sense either way. You got on the men's side, you got Punk, coming back in the match that he didn't win 10 years ago, and now he's coming back to try to finish what he started. You have Cody trying to get back to the main event of WrestleMania.
Finish that story.
You gotta finish the story. You got Drew. And you even possibly Rock. I mean, Rumble's in Miami this year. You can't really count him out either. And, of course, you got the returns like Lesnar. You got Sami Zayn, who's probably going to come back. He might pick up where he left off with Drew McIntyre. And then when you go on the women's side, you have Bayley, you have Becky, you have Nia. You have all these different contenders who have interacted with the champions of the past, with Bayley with damage control, Bianca with damage control. And then you have Becky and Nia who have had beef with Rhea. So there's a lot of different directions, and that's what makes this Rumble so exciting as compared to others, because before you could kind of at least guess hey, this person is for sure probably going to win the Rumble, even if the other Rumble match is not predicted. This time you can go multiple different directions, and I think that's what makes this time the most exciting. It is even the Logan Paul Kevin Owens match has a pretty well built story because they had an interaction at Logan's first WrestleMania. So there's like some story there. And of course, Logan has been playing his role tremendously, even though he's not there all the time. People are still talking about him. The tournament, James, I know you're not a big fan of the tournaments, but again, it was a way to kind of build up that heat with Logan. It's like, he's not here. He's throwing his own tournament. Like, what is this guy doing?
Right.
So, and the most telling thing, like whether it's going to be Rock or Roman or Roman Cody, is if the Fatal 4-Way match goes on last. And that's the most interesting thing because The Rock isn't going to come out middle of the show of Rumble unless he's in the Rumble, you know? So if that Fatal 4-Way match happens last, I think it's a very likely option that it would be Rock and Roman at that point.
I'm you know what? Actually, I am excited for this build up this time around. It leaves a lot of people guessing. Especially now, it's a lot of talks in the air. With 4 matches actually being in the Royal Rumble, I'm okay with that card because then, like, especially with the Rumble, it could tell stories a little bit. You can build up matches going towards WrestleMania. You could kind of get maybe Jey Uso going after Gunther for the IC title. You could kind of build Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn a little bit. So I'm okay with that. And then the women's side, you can kind of build storylines after the title because, WWE kind of sucks at that. You know what I mean? It's just more focused on the championships than it is after. So I'm cool with the build up and everything else like that. It's going to be interesting to see what they actually do with the men's Rumble between Punk and Cody and Rock. I don't know. I feel like call me crazy. I know a lot. I got a lot of bash for it before. I feel like they're gonna do some type of draw between Punk and Cody and Rock. I don't know how they're gonna play this out, but I feel like it's gonna be a draw somewhere, and I feel like both of them is gonna end up going out, or all 3 of them are going. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I feel like it's gonna be a draw somewhere where I could see maybe Rock and Cody and Roman at Mania, which I'm okay with too. So I mean, it's. I'm not saying that it will happen, but I kind of feel like it might lean towards that way because I mean, what else are you going to do? And as far as with Seth Rollins go, I think taking him off TV is the perfect timing. I think he probably needs that rest. and maybe we can get back for that match with Punk. So,
I hear, and I think I know where you're heading in regards to a triple threat, and I've had many words about that, and I'll get to that
yeah,
later
I
on.
see that.
When we
Yeah,
go over, and yeah, Shane, you know, I've posted about it too, and I'll get to that in just a second. And like I said, when it comes to WWE, whether it's Vince McMahon running things, right, whether it's Paul Levesque, Triple H running things, you just never know, right? You just never know. I always say that like Vince McMahon and Triple H, they're pretty much the same person, right? Like I always say that, you know, does Triple H do stuff that's slightly better than Vince McMahon? Yeah, of course he does. But man, they're still one of the same, man. Like the
but
Triple
I can give one take on it. My fault. That Kevin Owens and Logan Paul build up, I love it. I love it. I think it was perfect. I think it was great.
Absolutely.
I know certain people are not too fans of tournaments, but I like that the tournament is stretched out the storyline, and I think Kevin Owens is the right person. So.
Yeah, well, that triple threat sounded pretty nasty to me. I'm with James on that. That's not a good fit at all.
What?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, you got to think about it too. It's you throw, you know, everybody's been talking about Cody and this redemption thing with Roman, and then you kind of just throw like The Rock in there. I don't know, that whole rumor about him and The Rock happening at Mania when everybody's kind of forgetting about Cody. I knew WWE wasn't gonna let the foot off the gas with Cody, and him getting his, you know, his chance against Roman for the title. I knew they weren't gonna let the gas off with that at all. So kind of throwing Rock in there, I don't know. It doesn't really seem. It would make more sense to me if they would just be like, all right, Cody, we'll have you at SummerSlam. We'll give that opportunity at SummerSlam to kind of just let this Rock thing and Roman kind of build out, because you can't have Rock and Roman. You need to have that at WrestleMania. That's a WrestleMania matchup. So to you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna throw Cody in there. You know what I'm saying? The whole buildup with Rock and Roman is a family thing. So to just throw Cody in there because you have to have him in the main event is kind of like, like, no, if you're gonna have this Roman and Rock thing, just have it them two, and have Cody understand that, listen, you're gonna have the title. We're gonna have Roman drop the title. It's just not gonna be at Mania. Like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of directions they could go with it. So I don't think a triple threat, in my opinion, I don't think a triple threat fits. But you know, shout out to whoever brought Colt Cabana. I think a CM Punk and Colt Cabana match at WrestleMania. That's the gimme. With all the history they got, that's the
I'm with that. I'll be with
that. All the history that they got, I'm sure Punk still wants his he still wants to whip his ass. But
that'd be a matchup.
Yo, I'll be with that. Where is boy?
Not to get long-winded, but yeah, I think the build-up is pretty interesting. I think it kind of hit him a little bit with the whole Seth thing, because I'm sure they had everything planned out for Seth. And obviously, you know, there's been, from my understanding, what I've looked at, there's been reports that he could be ready for WrestleMania. So that's a okay sign to me, because obviously there's hope. You know, there's hope that he does come back. You know, it's okay if he misses TV. A lot of TV action, just, you know, if the number one goal is to get him back at WrestleMania, I'd be for it. He's been one of the top stars for almost a year now, and to see this happen again, because you guys remember he missed WrestleMania 32 with an injury and had to drop the title. He was actually going to go into Mania as a champion. So this is another setback. It's almost the same setback, but this time he gets a possibility of actually, you know, returning and still getting to Mania. So hopefully that's it. But I think this year's Mania is going to be, this year's Royal Rumble is going to be pretty fun. I can't really predict right now who's gonna, you know, I haven't really seen the rumors like that. I'm glad, you know, that they haven't really put a rumor mill on who could possibly win both Royal Rumbles from the women and the men. It's kind of taking it back to the kayfabe side a little bit. It's glad social media really hasn't pushed it, because now it keeps my interest level at an all-time high as to who's gonna come out there. Like, I won't even put a prediction. I just want to watch the show, and just whoever wins. If it's unexpected, it's unexpected. I do agree with Brian. I think Brock will come back. It's just a matter of what number he's coming out. You know what I'm saying? That's hopefully he doesn't come out to number 1 and steamrolls through the whole entire Rumble,
because he's done that before. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He did it
no,
in
yes.
2020. He did it in 2020. He was kind of going through everybody, but hopefully they don't have him do that. But yeah, I think they've everything has the build with both matches. I think it's been respected. I think it's been really good, and I think the Kevin Owens and Logan Paul match build up has been really, really, really solid. I didn't think that they were gonna have an opportunity to really work on it, but with two guys that cut really great promos and really know how to just they don't. I think with Logan Paul, I think they've kind of given him his freedom a little bit. They've noticed that he's been able to, whether he's a heel or whether he's a face, he's been able to draw the crowd. And as much as everybody don't like him, and trust me, I'm one of them. I don't like the Paul brothers at all, but I gotta give him his respect because he came in there and he took everybody by storm. He surprised me. So I think with him and Kevin who cut great promos, and again Logan knows how to wrestle in the ring. I got to give him his props. I think him and Kevin are going to steal the show. That to me is a matchup that's going to be, everybody's talking about the Fatal 4-Way, but I think Kevin and Logan is an underrated matchup that could steal the show. If they give them a good amount of time, I think that's a matchup that can catch everybody by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Brock Lesnar. I think because of Seth Rollins' injury, I think that definitely is evident in regards to okay, they need another. I mean, Brock Lesnar, if you want to say it's a surprise or not, he's only been gone for several months, but they need that extra, I guess, star to be a part of that Rumble. So I think because of Brock being in the Rumble, I think at this point is evident. And I agree with you, David, a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Please, for the love of God, I hope to freaking God they just do not do that.
TikTok on it, and I was
bro, I swear that would be the biggest freaking botch ever if they ever do something like that. I swear to God, I will lose my mind. Because here's why, right? I go back to WrestleMania 37. It was Roman, Edge, and then they fucking threw Daniel Bryan in there. Guys, Daniel Bryan had no business being in that matchup, and he said it himself. Exactly. He legit said himself, he's like, I felt awkward. I felt like I didn't belong. If you just throw Cody Rhodes into this match, it's just like you're meshing two people together, or vice versa. Two stories, that just don't belong. It's two different stories, right?
Edge, he didn't like it either.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and guess what they did? And David, guess what they did? They had the match at Money in the Bank, and guess what they did? They freaking crushed it, bro. They hit a freaking grand slam out of the freaking ballpark of how good that freaking matchup was.
Yeah, my only thing is that I just don't understand how. Again, I'm somebody. James, me, and Brian spoke about it when I was on an episode with you guys last time. That I was one of the advocates that wanted Roman to drop the title to Cody. You're talking about a guy. You're talking about a guy who's coming back under his own character, his own terms. They're giving him creative freedom, obviously, because they've seen what he's done with AEW and what he's done post his first time in WWE. And he's at the top. He's your top face right now. You know what I'm saying? To carry this whole time, I get what they want to do with Rome and the whole Bruno Sammartino thing or whatever. But the thing is, you're in a day and age now where the champion has to be there most of the time. I get it, whatever. But if you look at the fan base now, if you go on social media, right, they're always asking, man, when are we going to see Roman? And they understand what they're trying to do with him, but at some point you're like, yo, we want to see the champion there more often. Cody Rhodes is there almost every day. So it's like, to put the title on him, I think it would have boosted a lot of ratings. And on top of that, Roman was kind of going on vacation at that time, so you kind of give him a leeway to go on vacation, come back, and still stay at the top. Roman was never going down in the cards. So now with the opportunity that they supposedly were going to have relive that matchup again in this year's WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden there's rumors of him and The Rock, and it's just like, wait, so you guys are just throwing Cody off to the side? Whether you like Cody or not, again, he's your top face for a reason. You can't just kick him out and say, yeah, no, we'll worry about you later. He has to. So it just threw everything off.
Absolutely. And to kind of, go ahead, Richie. Go ahead.
And going off the triple threat idea thing, it's kind of like when DC was trying to reboot their movie universe, and it was Batman versus Superman. They tried to mesh everything together. All right, we got to introduce all these different things at the same time. The thing is, Rock and Roman, separate story. Cody, Roman, separate story. Those stories, when they come together, it's not going to be a satisfactory ending for either arc of anybody
Exactly.
involved.
Right.
You know, because you have Cody, his story was always winning the championship, but now since he lost to Roman, his story has now evolved. You know, now he gotten himself into bloodline business with the bringing Jey Uso to Raw. We had that stare down with Roman on not SmackDown. We had Cody appear on SmackDown a couple of times. So they were building Cody throughout the year. And then Cody said something very interesting in an interview that John Cena told him, that he had to learn to be the champion without being the champion. And with that, it's pretty much this year was kind of like a trial run of how Cody would be as champion. And then you have The Rock. And if you guys ever read Brian Gewirtz, who was a WWE writer, and he has a autobiography that's called There's Just One Problem. And great book, great autobiography, but he was also The Rock's personal writer, and he still writes for Rock's Productions to this day. And he was talking about Rock coming back for the John Cena match. And the idea was like, hey, let's have a match. And Rock didn't really get that hook of one match. If he was going to come back, it was going to be something that's never been done before, which was the 3-year story arc that we had with John Cena. So I don't see The Rock Roman happening this year. If it does, great. But it could be the start into something a little bit bigger, because we've seen The Rock be The Rock. You know, we've seen him do the cut and paste promos with Austin Theory, with Jinder, but now we have the opportunity to tell The Rock story about his family. And for me, I would like to see that fleshed out over time. I don't think a couple months is going to cut it a little bit. I think we need to see both these characters, The Rock and Roman, fully develop into why this match is taking place, other than who's the head of the table. You know, fun tagline, but to get to the nuts and bolts of it, you need time for that story to fester up.
Which is why, Richie, like, I don't understand people why say, oh, let's have it at Elimination Chamber. Guys, like, what the fuck? So, like, they're gonna rush. Here's another, because here's why, Richie. It's like everybody's so concerned, right? And I get it to a degree. The Rock's like in-ring rust. Oh, he's got in-ring rust. He's not gonna put on a really good match. It's like, guys, this dude can go out there, deliver a bunch of punches and kicks, and people are gonna freaking eat out of the palm of his freaking hands, right? But it's just like, okay, so you're so concerned with this ring rust, you want to rush the match a month later with less people than it's going to be at WrestleMania, because at Elimination Chamber, they're only going to have a 55,000 capacity of people. Yes, they can fill out more people, but WWE is only having 55,000 people in that arena. Where at WrestleMania, where I'm sure it's going to continue to happen over the next couple of years, they're going to have 2 nights where you can fill out 60,000 plus people because it's 2 nights. So, but yeah, Richie, that could possibly happen. I mean, we've seen it with John Cena and The Rock before. It's a big possibility. So, but yeah, I mean, it deserves, like, Rock and Roman deserves to have this story to be told. And what's also the one thing that's kind of, that might hinder things a little bit, is because they're pretty much part-timers. You know, how often are they going to be there to tell that story? So I guess the fact that if you have to draw this out beyond this year's WrestleMania, then I guess, I mean, who knows? I mean, we shall soon find out. I mean, The Rock says, like, you know, he wants to do stuff that's never been done before. So that's probably what the case it's going to be. But let's get into the match card. All right, let's dive into this match card. But there are still lots to discuss for how short this match card is. But let's start off light. Let's start off with the United States Championship match. Let's start off with Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. And I got to say, man, as much as, yes, I don't like tournaments, I just think we just see too many of them, and the mystique of it, and it's gone out the window. It's just like, how many tournaments do I need to see? And how many great wrestling matches do I need to see in a calendar year? Like, that's just why I just don't like them. Like, if they were done every now and then, okay. But if you do it, like we just saw we see so many freaking tournaments in AEW. Oh, forget it. And that's a different discussion for a different day. But it's just, you know, make them special. If you're going to have a tournament, just make it special. I don't need to see it all the time. We see it all the time. Even again, in WWE, we see like tournaments for number one contenders, right? Or for vacant titles. It's just like, come on, man. I'm just a fan, guys, of, you take the middle of your shows and you just use that as just raw storytelling. Right. And yeah, you can develop stories in tournaments, but the mystique of the tournament is just not there. Because why? Because you just see it every freaking time. But outside of that, I mean, Logan Paul and Kevin Owens, it is a really cool dynamic. I mean, these are two guys that are pretty much polar opposites. And I think that that's why that so many people like this. You have Logan Paul, a guy who's a loudmouth, the YouTuber, the social media megastar. And then you got Kevin Owens, who's just freaking just straightforward. Like, I'm going to punch you in the face because I just don't like you. Right. It's a cool opposites attract type of thing. And I thought the promo that they did in the Kevin Owens show was tremendous. There was a lot of substance into that. Like you said, Richie, tying back to 2021, when he stunned Logan Paul in the middle of the ring and everything, as well as KO selling the arm, as well as like he made a statement like, oh, like, you know, there's a lot I can say about you, Logan, but I can't because you're protected. You're protected by this company. And it's only because of why you're in the position that you're in. And like Logan Paul's like, I didn't even hear a word that you said, just being like the ignorant freaking douchebag that he is. So it's really good. I really do like it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure they're going to put on a tremendous matchup. Obviously, I'm sure Logan Paul is going to, defend this championship. I'm sure he's going to be walking into WrestleMania as champion. It's kind of sucks that Kevin Owens has to take another L after just losing the tag titles not too long ago with Sami Zayn. And he's kind of just been in the middle of the road. So who knows, man? But Logan Paul is doing a tremendous job. I don't mind Logan Paul as much as a lot of people. Again, I think Logan Paul, you can tell, like he just understands this. Like he's being himself, like as a heel. It's just who he is, and that's why I love people. You know, just people back in the day, people like Ultimate Warrior, people like Macho Man Randy Savage, and all these other people that are characters, because a part of that character is who they are, right? Part of Logan's character right now is who he is. He's just a douchebag. Yeah. He's an asshole, right? So who knows? I mean, who knows with this? It just sucks with Kevin Owens. Hopefully they'll do this in a way to where Kevin Owens doesn't lose too much credibility.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's been a pretty decent build, and I won't get into it too much with Logan Paul, but I've always said, that if he really decided to do this like full time, dude, I mean, nobody's ever seen a person like him come, out from outside the industry and do so well. I mean, the guy is fantastic in the ring. He really is. And if he wanted to really commit to this and this is what he does now, I kind of think it's perfect for who he is, because he can play a character in that douchebag and turn it up to 10 all the time. So yeah, he's going to deliver. I think they're going to put on a really good match, man, but I'm going the other way, man. I think KO's coming out, the victor here. I know you don't. I mean, Paul's been fine in a part-timer role with and it's the U.S. title. Let's be real here. It's not holding the prestige it once did. I don't know how. Yeah. I'm probably one of the older people here, so 20, 30, 40 years ago. But yeah, I think KO's winning here, man. Just because I don't know. I just don't feel KO taking an L to Paul here. Where does KO go after that? I mean,
yeah, that's the concern about this. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think it's KO, and I would say that's the right call. But I know that, Paul brings in eyeballs from the outside world, and that's why you want him to be champ, Mm-hmm. So I could definitely see it, Paul winning some way. I don't think it would be clean. It'd be like it usually is, one of his
goons,
goons, yeah. Whatever, yeah, distract or something. But I expect a fantastic match, and I don't know who said it earlier, but yeah, it really does have the possibility to steal the show, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, your thoughts, man? Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens.
I love the build. So, Logan Paul, actually, I couldn't stand Logan Paul. I hated it. I was like, good God, why? But over the time, he made me become a fan.
Yep.
Which I hate to admit it, but he really did. Like his character, him being a douchebag. I love it. I just love heels that's just a straight asshole. Which I hope they do with Cody Rhodes somewhere down the line. But I'll get to that later. But yes, I love when they just let heels be heels and be a douchebag and a straight asshole. And that's what Logan Paul brings. The winner of the match, I really want KO to win, but I feel like Logan Paul is going to take the W. I hate it because then, like you said, James, where does Kevin Owens go after this?
Mhm.
Or you know what I mean? Like, where does he fit in? Overall, I think the match is definitely going to steal the show.
Yeah.
Regardless of how it go, it's going to be a great match. But yeah, I feel like Logan Paul's going to take the W, and I don't know where you put Kevin Owens at from here.
Actually, I do think that both of these guys have done a phenomenal job. Kevin Owens is becoming that guy to me, like how Seth Rollins is, where if you know you want quality out of the opponent, you're going to throw him in the ring with him. Overall, I think Logan Paul is winning it. I think that they're building up for an LA Knight and Logan Paul match at Mania.
Yep.
Which is, I think that's why they've had LA Knight doing so much press and doing all the interviews at these different media stations lately, because they're trying to get his face out there. And I think I made a video on TikTok talking about it. Well, Logan Paul has brought in so many eyes that would probably never watch wrestling. Like, my son is 8, and he knew who Logan Paul was before he got into wrestling this summer. So he knew about Prime and all of that kind of stuff. So to be able to see Logan pull in so many people, and just the way he's taking the U.S. title everywhere and making sure that he takes whether he interviews a celebrity,
it's good
or
marketing,
anything,
bro. It's good marketing.
He makes sure that you take a picture with this title so you know that I have it. So I think they're going to do that, especially going into Mania and going into this Australia show with Elimination Chamber. You can't not have Logan Paul as the champion, unfortunately. KO, I don't know what he's going to do. I feel like he's probably going to take some time off, which I do think that's what he needs to do, because I know he was kind of battling back and forth with injuries all last year. So I think this gives KO a chance to kind of get written off TV for a little while. And give Logan that chance to truly be seen on the wrestling stage, but also you're going to bring in, like I said, those outside YouTube kids, and that YouTube makes so much money nowadays. You can't argue it.
That's the only way I think it would work for me, in my opinion, is that if KO maybe is written off TV for a little bit, and you know, if he just stays and then is just, you know, now I don't know, I don't know where he would go, but that a way like that where you keep Paul, you know, as the champion, and I wasn't even thinking about Elimination Chamber, you know, and just the overseas marketing opportunities with him as champion that they're obviously going to take advantage of for sure.
Now, one thing, and I think James knows this too, the one thing I always look at like the marketing and the money and who's going to bring in the money. And that is like, that's what I'm in school for. So like, I see like they're going to keep this title on him as long as possible, as close to Mania. And I promise you, he's going to be on a lot of press for Mania.
Which I'm sure it's why they're heavily like, you know, the arm cast thing, which is, I guess, is something that could write Kevin Owens off of TV if they do want to go.
That's what I was saying. They're going to have to, Logan Paul is going to have to be the dickhead if they're going to write Kevin Owens off TV. I meant like focus on the arm. I meant beat the arm to death.
Right.
To where he can actually be written off TV. That, to me, I think if you do that after the win, it will make Logan Paul a hell of a heel.
That would definitely work for sure. Yep.
For sure. David, man, your thoughts? Oh, go ahead, Shane.
Oh, my fault. And like what's the name was saying, I was thinking of the money too, and Logan Paul brings in a lot of money, regardless of he brings in a lot of eyes. So hell yeah. If that's the case, if they're gonna do that, have Logan Paul beat the hell out of him after the match, write him on TV. It Logan Paul.
You know, WWE is going to make those decisions. Okay, what's going to make us the most money? What's going to make us more marketable? And just what brings the most eyeballs to the product? And Logan Paul, you know, for the world that we live in today, which is social media and everything, Logan Paul is your guy. Unless, again, there's something off the top of my head that's not clicking. That's something that they can do for Kevin Owens. You know, I guess you could say a way to sign him off of TV until you have something for him.
He reunites with Sammy.
Oh God, bro, man, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens together, it's like a book that will never fucking end. I swear to God.
I do think Logan's gonna win for this. I think Jay kind of put it best. I think just for the marketing purposes, you talk about a guy that again is running with the show right now as possibly the best heel in the business. And again, regardless if he's a heel, he's drawn a lot of young age, kids, guys in their teens that are following his products, following his every move on social media, that are following his YouTube page. I mean, he's gaining a lot of traction just by interviewing wrestlers on his YouTube page. So that brings a lot of people that knew about him outside of WWE, that it's bringing them into WWE. And I don't think they want to give that up right now, especially where, again, if you bring somebody, if you change the title, like I see what you're saying, Brian, but if you move the title to Kevin Owens, those people that were interested in Logan Paul because he had the title and what he's doing,
for sure,
might be like, all right, he doesn't have the title. What the hell are they gonna do with him? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're only looking at him because he's the top guy right now with the champion. So I think right now you don't want to ruin that. If you're gonna have him drop the title, I think it would be best to do it at Mania. Just have him ride out. Have him have that opportunity to just walk in as a champion, because even if he loses the title, just walking into WrestleMania as a champion, that's you're winning right there. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the outcome. So have him have that opportunity, have him gain that respect. Like I said, he's been running with the ball. So I think as much as I respect Kevin Owens, I've been one of Kevin Owens' biggest fans since he's came to the WWE. But I think, right now it would seem like Logan is the younger version. He's the younger cat. And Kevin Owens has kind of done what he's been able to do in the business, and I think it'd be a good look not only for Kevin but for Logan, to stay with the title. And again, like I said, we'll keep that traction up with the younger audience, especially when you're going into I forgot who mentioned it, with the Elimination Chamber in Australia. You want to make sure that those kids are staying up late to watch that. You want to make sure that they stand up late to watch him, because he's the guy that everybody's looking, forward to. And like I said before, I think that matchup is gonna be the underrated show, that the underrated match that steals the show. I think a lot of people, everybody's so focused on the Royal Rumble matchup itself, and why not? But I think that's a matchup where it's two guys going at it, where it's, not everybody's kind of paying attention to what they could possibly do. That could be a matchup that could run a good amount and surprise a lot of people. So, with everybody, with Logan Paul, I think it'd be a good look for him to retain. And if you could go at it from the aspect, like you guys said, where he beats up Kevin Owens' arm and kind of gets him out of action for a while, I think that would make the most sense, because I agree. I don't know what they do with Kevin Owens if he doesn't win the title. So yeah,
everyone here said they don't know what to do with Kevin Owens after the Logan Paul match kerfuffle, which I agree, it's going to be one of the high points of the Rumble match, in my opinion. Everything that Kevin Owens does pretty much turns to gold, no matter what he's in. Like, he made the Ezekiel Elias thing watchable when that was happening. So it's not going to be any different here with Logan Paul. And Logan Paul is more than capable of holding up his end of the bargain. But if Logan Paul wins, which is, in my opinion, the most likely outcome, just because you have a big Elimination Chamber show, you have a WrestleMania show that you want to sell, and Logan Paul being a part of those shows will be instantly more attractive to outside wrestling fans. Just the casual audience in general. But with Kevin Owens, there's another person on the SmackDown roster that doesn't really have anything going for them post-Mania, in my opinion, and that's AJ Styles. You have both those guys. You have AJ freshly turned heel. You have the OC that's still with AJ, who's still trying to be in good with AJ Styles. And again, what if AJ and the OC kind of go on a tear? It's like, look, I got taken out by the bloodline. It's like, let's see how these guys like the taste of that own medicine. You could take out LA Knight, Kevin Owens, since he's part of the babyface side, and then you have the roles reversed, because we've seen AJ Styles as the babyface and Kevin Owens as the heel before, but we've never had the inverse of that. And I think that would be a very interesting direction for both Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, two guys who, for this year's Mania, don't really have anything solid. So I think, in my opinion, that's probably the best direction to go for both of them. Give them something to do for Mania. and then when the draft happens, let it happen, and then see where everybody, and then see where the chips fall from there. You know, but it's a good way to get both AJ and KO on the show. But as it pertains to the Logan Paul Kevin Owens match, like the big knockout feature was a big part of both their build-ups to it, with Kevin Owens knocking out Logan Paul with the cast, and then of course Logan Paul targeting the arm. So will it end in like a knockout fashion? I don't think so. I think it's going to be some cheap roll-up maybe, just to show
all inspiring.
Because you're hyping up. It's like, oh, I'm going to knock Kevin Owens out. I'm going to knock Kevin Owens out. And then the ultimate heel move, you don't knock him out. You just cheat to win.
It's just very interesting on what they're doing with AJ. And I guess with the OC, because I know that they've been planting seeds with the OC. Maybe he does something with the OC to kind of add that extra layer and make him a full bona fide heel. So that could be the case, man, with when it comes to Kevin Owens.
Do y'all remember when Brock Lesnar had the UFC fight like a couple weeks before Mania?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that Logan Paul is going to pull that? Possibly.
No.
I would say no. I don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
We would have heard about it by now if it was going to happen. Just with I
was thinking like that would be something he would use to bring in more eyes to what's about to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that. I agree with Richie. I don't think that would happen. Let's get into, before we get into the Royal Rumble matches, as I'll save those for last, let's get into this Fatal 4-Way matchup, which involves Roman Reigns, your champion. You got LA Knight, AJ Styles, and of course, Randall Keith Orton. So here's the thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard this from me a time or two. I just am not a fan, especially nonsensically, with triple threats and Fatal 4-Ways. I'm just not a fan of it. However, I'm a fan of this because there is a way that you can honestly protect each and every one of these people, especially with LA Knight and Randy Orton, because even though, yes, Orton and Roman, it's a good one-on-one matchup. It definitely adds a lot of interest to a lot of people. And then you add AJ Styles and LA Knight, and you're like, okay, what are we doing here? It just feels out of place. But, you know, with LA Knight and Orton and Styles, there's a way that you can honestly protect all of these people, especially for Orton. Like, I don't want to just have, because we know Orton's not going to win the title. There's been a lot of talks like, oh, Orton can win the championship. The Rock can distract him, and then he can go. Guys, it's not going to happen. As much as I'm sure people want it to happen, it's not going to happen. Roman Reigns is going to walk into WrestleMania as champion, and he's going to win this matchup. But in regards to that, it's just, I don't want Orton to just take a simplistic L to Roman and that be it. You know what I mean? Like, at least have it in a way to where you can protect Orton, whatever you have for Orton coming up at WrestleMania, LA Knight. However, the odd man out is going to probably be AJ Styles. But like what Richie said, if it leads to something maybe with KO and maybe with the OC, maybe they develop more and they plant seeds with the OC, maybe there's a way for that. So there's a place for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, with LA Knight, there's talks about LA Knight and Logan Paul, which I've spoken about before, but that's a different story for a different day. As well as Orton, you know, what we shall see in regards to that. Of course, I talked about him and Solo Sikoa, but they wanted to just waste Solo and Randy Orton freaking last night, but it is what it is. But so look, man, I'm down with it. So Styles, I would say, is probably going to be the odd man out here. They're going to protect LA Knight. Orton is definitely not going to take the pinfall. I would be shocked if Orton takes the pinfall. Again, I think the contract signing was done very well. Jalen, like you said earlier, and David, you said it before, like with Nick Aldis, and it's just so refreshing with Nick Aldis and how he's added into this story with the whole Fatal 4-Way. Paul Heyman and his interactions with Paul Heyman. Nick Aldis has been tremendous as an authority figure. It's just something that's just been missing in this company, right? I mean, you've had, Adam Find My Balls Pierce for like 6+ months that just doesn't do anything but just wrestlers walking all over him. But now you have Nick Aldis, who actually feels like an authority figure. And it's just, it's great. It really is awesome. So I like that extra layer with that. There was a couple weeks ago where like he, told Paul Heyman, like, hey, when he's done celebrating, tell your tribal chief that he's going to be in a fatal 4-way match at the Royal Rumble. And then like the look of freaking Heyman, and then you got Roman Reigns, like he's got it all
Just
figured out,
shit.
celebrating the ring, talking shit, right?
Like, you don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, I like that little visual,
good.
like that little camera visual. It was really, really good. So again, there's a lot more good than outweighs the negative in regards to all this.
Fatal 4-way matches are always tough. I feel like narratively to have everybody conceivably feel like they have a chance. I was at the first and only Fatal 4-way pay-per-view, and let me just say, none of those Fatal 4-ways were nearly as well as this one we have right here. Because you have all these guys who have separate issues and separate reasonings for actually dealing with Roman Reigns and the bloodline. So you have AJ, who was taken out by them. You have Randy Orton, who was also taken out by them, but also made a tremendous return because he just wants to get at Roman. You have LA Knight, who is like, hey, the bloodline didn't take me out and they cheated to win, so let me get my rematch. And then you have Roman being like to Heyman, fix this. This is not right. Why is everyone ganging up on me? Right. And it took, I'm surprised it took him this long to have Roman in a multi-man match. It's the first one, I think, since WrestleMania 37. So you had a lot of big money matches with Roman Reigns one-on-one, but now it's at a point where this Fatal 4-way feels fresh, when before it probably wouldn't have been the case. And now, as concerns on who takes the pinfall, I wouldn't be surprised if LA Knight takes the pinfall. I don't think it would hurt him, really, depending how the fall happens. Like, it could even just be like, I think there was like a Backlash 2007 match with Cena, Orton, HBK, and Edge, where Cena kind of accidentally fell into the cover. I wouldn't be surprised if Roman was like right place, right time, hits the spear when everybody else is pretty much like finisher spammed. Boom, bing, bada boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. But I think Roman retains, and like you said, James, if The Rock comes out to cost Roman the championship, I don't think that makes a lick of sense whatsoever. And it'll be very anticlimactic for a reign to end like that. And everyone's like, oh, but Randy Orton and Cody, they have the history. Cool. You could build that up to a different match. It doesn't need to be for this WrestleMania, and you could even push it forward if they happen to do Roman versus Cody at Mania. And then Randy could be like, look, Cody, you had 2 shots. I only had 1, and it wasn't even a one-on-one match, hypothetically. So Randy could have like a disparaging argument with Cody over that. But again, it should be a very cool match. It should be a very big test for, I think, Randy, because this is probably Randy's biggest match since coming back. Again, he was in War Games, but not for a long amount of time. And this is another multi-man match. So we're masking kind of Randy's
limitations, maybe.
Limitations.
They want to protect him because he's still coming off the injury. So they still want to, it's a way to like protect him and not, just to protect him overall. And so I get it.
Yeah. And the most important and the most interesting thing to me are the 2 guys who aren't even in this match. It's Nick Aldis, like you said, James, like him being an awesome authority figure thus far in his tenure, and Solo Sikoa. Because I feel like this year is going to be the Solo Sikoa development year of 2024. Because we saw him cut that promo of him taking care of business. And it's going to go to a point where I think that rage is going to fester and fester and build until he feels like he's surpassed Roman in some regards. If you remember to that Money in the Bank Bloodline Civil War match, Solo was the one who was getting Roman's head on straight about when Roman was like freaking out internally. And I think this is the year that they're going to build Solo into like a stone cold, like crusher of sorts. Of course, I wouldn't have had him take the pinfall loss to Randy yesterday. But again, it's all for the narrative's sake, because now Solo has more reason to be angry at Randy Orton, because Solo failed to take care of the problem. He took care of LA Knight. He took care of AJ. He failed to take out Randy. So I think that's where the focus is going to be next.
And Richie, I agree with you, man. Like the way he lost to Orton, like I just have not, and I get why they did it, because they did a DQ finish beforehand. And I don't understand why you're putting LA Knight and AJ Styles in a match when I'm already going to see them wrestle in a match with 2 other people. But I'm just going to save that for a different day. But that's a route that they could definitely go with Solo, especially the amount of momentum that Solo's had since defeating John Cena. I'm like, John Cena didn't put this dude over. Like, he gave this dude like the keys to the freaking kingdom of how he put this dude freaking over at Crown Jewel. So it was just kind of disappointing to see Solo, after the damage he did to LA Knight and AJ Styles, and then just take the pinfall to Orton. Definitely was disappointing, but that could still probably be a reason why, like, hey, like, I still have something to finish, and that's Orton. I'm going to do it at Mania. So we'll see in regards to that.
I said, I'm like Richie. I love the idea of putting him in a fatal four-way because it's something that we haven't seen, which is crazy to think that he's been champion for 3 years and not once has this scenario come about.
Yeah. Right.
But what I'm loving about SmackDown, and for some reason SmackDown always hits the nail on the head. They build up multiple superstars. Like I said, being in the arena last night, AJ got a huge pop when he came out. So did LA Knight. So did Randy. Even Roman when his music hit. So these guys are all superstars. Like, these guys are like megastars, as they would say. And you can go so many different routes. Obviously, I do think Roman is winning. I have a little bit of a thing. Well, I know everybody's saying like they want The Rock to interfere, and that's how Randy would win. I actually think that's how Cody's going to win at Mania, because I don't think they're breaking Hogan's record. I'm sorry. I know everybody is. I'm upset about the whole racism thing, and I think they should break it. But from what I'm hearing, they're going to do like a celebration of him soon, too, like a 40-year celebration or something like that. So. If you're doing celebrations of somebody, you're not breaking their record.
Yeah.
So
True.
I'm pretty sure. And then he's not in bad standing. He's not like Ric Flair. So I think that he is going to end up keeping that record, and we'll go from there with that. But I don't know what AJ does after this. But the OC have to be that New Japan OC after this. They can't be
they're booking
the WWE OC,
the WWE version.
Literally,
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe it. They can't be that anymore. They have to go into something that means something. Even Mia Yim, like we saw the match she put on with Io a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that match should have taken her to another level, and she hasn't even been in the ring since then.
Yeah.
So I think they're squandering opportunities with that. So I think they're maybe building something more to that. So I'm kind of being patient on it. Because like I said, Elimination Chamber is still in the middle. Because right now, I don't even know who can wrestle at Elimination Chamber at this point. Because it's so much going on. Everybody's kind of looking past that and going straight to Mania.
Yeah.
This is a good test for Roman. But I will say this: after he wins this match, he literally has to be on SmackDown damn near every week. You did I know they said that there's a rumor about him not being in Elimination Chamber. You can't keep missing this many. You can't miss this many days of work and expect to be, employee of the month. At some point, you gotta show up to work.
I mean, he has been unadvertised for shows before, and then they added him last minute to kind of push tickets forward. I think they did it for last year's Elimination Chamber. They did it for last year's Money in the Bank. He wasn't initially advertised, and then he showed up on the show anyway. So I think it's just like one of those things where they iron out the details creatively, and then when they're confident, okay, Roman's definitely going to be on this show. Then
listen, I've seen about in the last 6 months about 10 to 15 Roman returns next week visuals, and at some point it's like we got to stop doing that and let him go. Even if he doesn't wrestle, let him come on and show his presence, because his presence is what means everything at this point.
Man. Godly. First of all,
let's hear it, man.
I agree. Roman Reigns definitely needs to show up more as the champion. I feel like his range has been very babysitted, if that's a good term to use. I get it. I get it. You're trying to break the record, blah blah blah. But I just in this time or era of wrestling, the title should not be babysitted like that. No, hell no. I don't agree with that. But as far as this match go, yeah, AJ Styles is definitely taking the pin. So let's just get that out the way.
Yeah,
He's
the most likely option. He's the most likely option out of everybody.
And I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. Always since TNA, since he first started in WCW. Huge fan of AJ Styles. So yeah, but he's definitely taking the pin on this one. If we're gonna do the LA Knight and Logan Paul thing, I think they should have LA Knight bout to win and Logan Paul kind of interference in the match and pulls him out on some bullshit because a fatal 4-way is going to be no disqualification any goddamn way. So, overall though, I think the match is going to definitely be a banger. Randy Orton's going to get protected regardless because he's freaking Randy Orton. Like I don't see no other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the OC and I do agree we do need that New Japan OC because this WWE version is watered down.
It never has.
It's not existent.
Never has one. Yeah.
I forget they're even on the roster, bro.
Yeah, it's whack and godly. I think if we're gonna get an AJ Styles heel turn, can we please get that Lonely Wolf AJ Styles from TNA? Because I was a freaking fan of that. I don't care. I was a fan of that hill with his TNA run. I was a huge fan of that. So if we can get that and kind of mix it in with this OC, I'm cool with that. But yeah, after this match with Roman, he needs to appear more, even if he just talks or even if he just build up the thing with The Rock at Mania, whatever the case may be, he needs to appear. And that's really all I can take from it. But the match itself is going to be a banger, and AJ Styles is taking it.
Yeah, shout out to Richie for bringing up the 2007 Backlash Fatal 4-Way. I think that was the last Fatal 4-Way, in my opinion, where they kind of had everybody. That match, if you go back to that matchup literally had everybody in a way where you thought one of them was coming out. You know what I'm saying? Because social media really wasn't out like that. So it wasn't like we already knew Cena was going to win. It could have gone either way, and the show would have been perfect. The show would have been fine. So I think this is like one of the, even though we kind of know that Roman's going to win, it's making everybody kind of look good in a sense. Again, even though, like, for example, you guys are saying how if The Rock comes back and costs Roman the title, would it be whack? It would be, in my opinion. But it would also kind of make sense with where they're going if they're trying to push this Roman and Rock thing. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're really gonna start testing the waters with Roman as a heel. Now you're pushing his heel factor into another level now because he's gonna be pissed. You're bringing out more of an edgy side where he's gonna start bringing in family. Now it kind of like now I understand. As whack as it sounds, I could understand it from a marketing perspective, and not even marketing, just like a front office type of thing where they're looking at it from a thing where it's like, if we're trying to focus on the family history between these two, maybe that could be a thing. So now where we actually get a respective build. Yeah, we haven't built it enough for an entire year, but maybe him losing that title at Roman, number one, brings an unexpected vibe into the show, but number two, also kind of puts it to where now Roman is going to be showing up almost every time, because now he's going to try to take every opportunity he can to not only slander The Rock, but kind of, get at him, kind of show his frustration and kind of start calling him out and all that. So now you kind of still use that small time to build it in its respect. But I think it will be a good match. I think it's going to be fun to see what AJ does, because like you guys said, I think AJ's the only guy out to where it's like, whatever happens, what's going to happen with him. He's with the OC, but it's like, what are your plans next for him? Because you're not going to have him in a feud with Roman. You're not going to have him in a feud with Randy. I think the Randy and Solo is a perfect thing for Solo. I think that's a money maker for Solo. A guy that, Randy is he's going to be willing to put Solo over. I'm still standing on the fact that I think Solo is going to be the next Batista in an evolution type of thing where he kind of turns on where he kind of goes at Roman. I think he's the last one of the bunch to kind of go at Roman and kind of take the throne. I think they've been setting him up for that for a while now. But I think AJ's kind of like the odd man out. Randy and Solo will have a moment there, and I think they'll build that up. And then you have LA Knight, where LA Knight I think is going to be the one to take the pin. I think LA Knight. I think it boosts him. I don't think it hurts him. I think now it boosts him because now he's going to be looking for a redemption factor, and it keeps him at that top, recognition wise. So it'll be a good match.
It's just unfortunate because LA Knight has already had his one-on-one match, and the fact that he's going to get pinned again by Roman, it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to do, to have LA Knight take the pinfall. It could happen. It's just, and the fact that it's just like, I wouldn't mind LA Knight going after the United States Championship. My only question is, why did he already go after Roman at his championship if he was never going to freaking win it?
And then you
boost Shane, right? Shane. It's so weird.
Man, the only thing I'm certain of is Roman's going to retain and Orton's not going to take the pin. Other than that, man.
Exactly.
Because I really think you got the 4 competitors in the ring. I'm certain you're going to see Heyman, Jimmy, and Uso. Does Rock get involved in this match? Maybe. We've talked about the OC. If Heyman and Uso and Solo are coming out, does the OC come out? Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis could be another involved here, during the match. So, I really don't know how it's going to end other than Roman retaining. I expect no less than like 7, 8, maybe 9 people kind of all involved in this match.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see Solo's coming out there, Jimmy's coming out there.
Jimmy,
maybe the OC might be a stretch, but Aldis probably. And then the wild card is The Rock, man. I mean, does he even show up at the Rumble? If he were to get involved in this match, I don't think he can. He can't cost Roman the title. That I don't think that can happen. I think the most he could do is maybe fighting off a Solo or a Jimmy or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I expect there's I think this whole show, because we only have the 4 matches, and now with Seth's injury, this whole thing, which is kind of why I'm really excited about it, is going to be built on returns and just kind of like shocking moments. Or at least that's what I'm hoping for.
Right.
So
absolutely.
That's all I can say about this is Roman's retaining, and you're going to see a whole lot of bloodline and I don't know, outside interference, and we'll see how we get come to the pinfall. But yeah, I would say I would say probably Styles, maybe LA Knight, but definitely not Orton.
At least one of those two. I think we can all agree it's going to be one of those two that's going to take the pinfall. It's not going to be Orton. I think we all know that. So, but well said, Brian. Very well said. All right, y'all. Well, let's get into the Royal Rumble match, and we're going to start off with the ladies. To start off, the ladies, the women's Royal Rumble match. So, of course, I'm not going to go through each person that's in this match, because then we'll be here for hours upon hours, and I don't want to do that to y'all. But I will give you guys the betting odds from Vegas of who is the favorite to win this match. And right now, as of this recording,
Becky Lynch.
I don't need to say anymore. It's Becky Lynch, bro. Becky Lynch is the favorite right now to win this match. The others behind the other favorites I will mention. One of them is Bayley. Bayley is a big favorite, an odds-on favorite to win. You have Jade Cargill, and you have Liv Morgan. Those are your favorites, but Becky Lynch is at the top of that totem pole as the favorite to win this women's Royal Rumble. And, of course, they teased her and Rhea Ripley. We all expect this to happen with her and Rhea Ripley. Do they add a Nia Jax in there? Brian, me and you spoke about that just last episode. Still uncertain of what they're going to do there. But of course, we all talked about Mercedes Moné. I'm sure we've all Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. There's been teased about her. Will she return at the Rumble? Will she not? So that's at least a possible return for the Rumble, as well as you have Trinity Fatu, Naomi, as her contract just finished up with TNA as of today. She will be a free agent tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So now there's already speculation. Is it possible? Is it likely? Probably not. But it's also going to determine if WWE and Trinity can come to terms and sign something on the dotted line that quickly. So
if in my opinion, I think the last two will be Becky and Jade. Jade's been their hottest signing as far as the women's for a very long time, and everybody's obviously been peeking at the bone to find out when she'll be officially in action. And obviously Royal Rumble was they were already hinting it, they were kind of throwing it, people were already speculating it. So I think she'll come out, and I think because how big she is, I think they'll have her and Becky as the last two remaining in the matchup. I don't disagree with the betting odds. I think, unfortunately, I would want it to be Jade because when Jade signed with WWE, Jade was here. Jade was already the top fucking women in AEW, and they and once everything kind of fell through with AEW and she signed with WWE, I think just her signing with WWE was a big announcement to begin with, and it was big for her traction coming into the company. So I think kind of building on that would be a smart thing in my opinion. But I see them. I obviously understand them going with Becky, so they could have that Rhea Ripley and Becky matchup at WrestleMania. I smell like a Jade and Becky is going to be the last two because they'll look at Becky as kind of like the Charlotte type of thing now because Charlotte is not here. And they'll put Becky and her as the last two. And that's how I look at it. I could be wrong, but I think, Jade is everybody's anticipating her debut. I think she'll come out, and I think she'll make a pretty impressive run, and she'll be the last one there with Becky. And I think Becky ends up taking the win, in my opinion.
Shane, your thoughts, man? Women's Royal Rumble, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think Becky's gonna win. So I don't see no other.
Oh boy.
I mean, you could do Bailey, but I'm pretty
I would
sure
love for Bailey to win, but no.
Yeah, I would love for that, but I see
It's
Becky winning. Now, do I see it's gonna be between her and Jade Cargill? Nah. I think she does come out. She does make Jade Cargill does come out. She does make a great impact, but I don't think she's gonna be the last woman.
Yeah.
No. I think it's gonna be between Becky and Bailey. My opinion. Yeah. I mean, you could just roll the dice and just say Becky.
that combination don't even sound interesting to me at all. That sounds like they're about to get booed.
Nah, I know it really don't. It sound lame as shit, but I don't see. I don't think WWE is going to give Jade Cargill that last ending yet. I don't see that happening just yet. But I mean, I could be wrong. But I mean, I could see them leaning towards the two top stars that been on TV consistently, which is Bailey and Becky.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why I think I like your point, but I'm gonna tell you why I think that the Jade thing will happen. And I look at it from it's a little bit different, but I look at it from the perspective of the Roman and Batista in 2014 Royal Rumble, where even though Batista is the one returning, you kind of made it obvious from the start you were gonna have him win, right? Roman, I don't know how you guys felt, but Roman was the guy nobody thought would be the last motherfucker in there. Even though kind of the last couple episodes of Raw, they were kind of building him up. If you would have asked me during that time, is Roman going to be the last one with Batista? I would have said, hell no. So the fact that he was the last one there and he got such a crazy pop, and Jake, everybody's anticipating this Jade Cargill return, debut. That if she ends up being the last one, and everybody, from social media, I'm kind of seeing that everybody's not really messing with Becky because they're like, Becky again. It's like you might get a pop that Roman got when Roman kind of got that elevation in that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I only see it just for that aspect. So then they could build it from there with her. But I see Becky winning. I see Becky winning just because how they've been building the Rhea Ripley and her thing in the future.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can see it from that point too. Yeah. It's going to be interesting though. I would love to see Jade Cargill at the end. I would love it, but I don't think WWE is gonna pull that trigger with her yet. Yeah. I think she's going to be the last 3, but I don't think she's going to be the last 2.
I might be the only one here, man, but I am really like sick to death the last 5 to 8 years. Like Becky Charlotte. Like I'm just fuck, man.
I feel you, bro. Hey, listen, I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut you off, Brian, but yeah, I mean, like Becky doesn't need this Rumble, guys.
No.
She really doesn't. You're telling me you need Becky to win this Rumble to get to Rhea, and like, guys, no, like, honest to God. Now with Bayley, I don't think it's Bayley. I think they're gonna it's gonna be something to where Damage Control. They're gonna do something with them and Damage Control, or maybe Damage Control eliminates Bayley, or maybe it's vice versa. But it could be Becky. But should it be? Probably not. But yeah, Brian, continue.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably gonna be Becky. But I want Bayley, man. I'm for Bayley, and Shane, to your point, I think the last 2 are probably going to be Becky and Bayley, but Damage Control is going to cost Bayley
a shot.
Cost Bayley the Rumble, and Becky wins. Yeah, man, I just don't want to see it, man. I spoke about it, on our last podcast. Like I know they're gonna do Mania with Rhea and Becky. We spoke maybe that could be a triple threat, but I just think somebody else. It's just somebody else's spot, somebody else's time, man.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Cargill, like I'm with you again, Shane. Like I think she'll make her debut, but she's obviously a physical specimen, and she's going to be a star. But I really do think there's like coming from AEW, and that's kind of like I think WWE really does want to take their time with her and whatever, train her in the WWE way, if that's what you want to call it, But yeah, she'll get there. I just don't think she's winning the Rumble. And man, I'm not putting it out of the question, man. I mean, I don't know. I'll throw it to y'all. Do we think Sasha's returning? What are the chances?
At some point, I think she will be.
You don't think at the Rumble?
Whether it's at the Rumble or not, I think she's bound to return at some point. Yeah.
This is just me thinking, obviously, fantasy booking wise. Again, if you go this route where you have Damage Control, Austin Bayley, or I mean, they're kind of already in that anyway. Where we all know Bayley's on her way out, so she's going to be feuding with them. Who better to have her back than Sasha, man? I mean, Jesus Christ. And then, of course, obviously, eventually down the road, they're going to face again and have a fucking classic of a match, man. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. I mean, I would love to see Sasha return here or at some point. Like I said, I got to – just with the females, I mean, you got Trinity, Sasha, Cargill – I mean, all those could be making their debut or debuts, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my final take on it. Is I think they're going to go with Becky, but I think it should be Bayley.
Brian seems so frustrated.
Dude, like
I don't blame him, David. I actually really don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why though.
I like Becky, bro, but like it's just man, why does she need that, bro? She won 2 fucking belts at Mania. Like you can't give anyone else.
Why? Because when Charlotte got hurt, now I don't condone anybody getting hurt. Charlotte's a great talent.
Much love to Charlotte.
She is an athlete. But
if,
James, you know how frustrated I said it on your podcast, how frustrated I was with them pushing her. So when she's trying
to make a comeback, dude, she's trying to come back for Mania. I don't know if anybody sees that Charlotte is.
Don't do it. When she got hurt, I was kind of like even though I condone it, I was like,
she's trying to pull an Aaron Rodgers, bro. She's trying to pull an Aaron Rodgers and come back early.
Look, I've said this on our podcast many times. Like, if you just take the 4 horsewomen. Like, I personally don't get it, and I'm not. They're all athletes. They're all great in their own way. But you just take those 4 women, Bailey and Sasha are the best two of those, man. Like,
Yes.
and then it's Becky and Charlotte, but but all the time it's Becky and Charlotte up here for the title all the fucking time, man. I don't.
When they did the Becky Nia match and Nia went over Becky, immediately there I'm like, Becky's winning the Rumble because that's usually that's usually what happens. And I don't say that like because I don't like Becky. It's just kind of like usually when a star like that loses cleanly, that's kind of a big hint that I'm like, okay, then they're gonna rebound in some way, shape, or form. Now, whether that's a Rumble or maybe something else like Elimination Chamber, I don't know. But obviously they created this hurdle of Nia Jax for Becky and to a certain extent Rhea Ripley as well. So I think Nia Jax is going to have a tremendous performance in the Rumble. And shout out to Nia Jax because a lot of people dogged her since she returned. But honestly, she's been 100% great. She's been fine. You know, I listened to your guys' show and I was just like, I have had the same take. I'm like, look, she didn't injure anybody. Like I haven't heard anything like her being reckless this time around. You know, she's doing the role that they've hired her to do, which is like almost like a hired gun for the Raw women's division. You know, so big ups to her. I do think the Bailey damage control story doesn't need the Rumble, not necessarily, but to give it that extra shove, I think it would benefit them because then you have Bailey kind of conflicted where it's like, oh yeah, I'm totally going for Rhea. But then things start happening within damage control, like we saw SmackDown a week ago where damage control wasn't interfering on Bailey's behalf. So then it's kind of like damage control is like, oh yeah, you won the Rumble, and then trying to coerce Bailey into leaning towards the Raw side. I think that would be a lot of fun, narratively speaking, to have Bailey go over. As for Jade Cargill, I see her maybe if she is ready for the Rumble, if they deem her ready. I see her top 4, you know, trying to get that investment in. Maybe get like a good elimination, maybe of a Nia Jax to kind of like put her over from the jump. Something like that. At least eliminate like a big name to show that Jade Cargill is someone to be feared within that women's division.
Right. You're definitely going to feel a presence in there for sure.
It's kind of similar what they're probably doing with Punk right now, because Punk's his first official match back is going to be the Rumble, so it's a way to be like, hey, Punk is back, you know, look at him eliminate this person, and then kind of the same thing with Jade Cargill. Oh, look at Jade Cargill, look how much of a beast she is, to where like you're not overly exposing her to where she may not be ready for that one-on-one type of spotlight yet. You know, we, of course, as much as we love Jade Cargill, we know that she's not the greatest technical wrestler, nor does she need to be. But it's a good way to bring people back like Punk and also to showcase people like Jade Cargill. But yeah, Richie, continue.
I'm very interested to see what the cards hold for Bianca Belair because she doesn't have any obvious direction heading into WrestleMania. I do think her and Charlotte were going to do something together, possibly for like the tag titles and then maybe face off at WrestleMania. But of course, Charlotte got that nasty ACL injury where a lot of people were in my TikTok comments saying it's like, oh, it's 9 months. That must mean she's pregnant. And I'm just like, if you saw that fall, she ain't pregnant.
No, that's.
I'm just like, that's a little bit of a leap there. But, I do think Becky would. Like my brain's telling me Becky, my heart's saying Bailey.
Same, I'm the same,
you know, and to be honest, I don't see like either one. I'm like, I'm fine with it. You know, it's just like, would it be kind of weird having Becky like win another Rumble, but at the same time, it's never been done before. A 2-time woman winner of a Royal Rumble, and that will give her another esteemed credit.
And Brian, you've said it before about like the whole Roman Reigns thing, about why Roman Reigns is holding on to this title for so long, because it's to evolve the brand, right? In the next 50 years, you're not going to market on Hulk Hogan and people like Bruno Sammartino anymore. You're going to market people like Becky Lynch. You're going to market people like Roman Reigns in the next 20, 30, however many years. So yeah, they want those accolades. You know, look at Becky Lynch a couple years ago. She won a Royal Rumble, and then she main evented WrestleMania. Then she won the Royal Rumble again. So it's at that perspective, that's something that WWE could do alongside of not just getting to this Rhea matchup at Mania, but just, again, to evolve the brand in just women's wrestling and WWE and just WWE in general. So
Okay, so I want y'all to stick with me on this because I was literally I literally was in here writing down like a whole timeline. So I got Bailey winning. I do think that the fall of all of them is going to happen this Friday. Was going to start to happen this Friday, and I think she's going to end up costing Kyrie and Asuka the tag titles. And I feel like that's going to throw them off a little bit, and then that creates the chaos of the Rumble. I know everybody kept saying Becky had a chance. I think that Jade is going to end up being the one to eliminate Becky, and I think that creates Becky and Jade at Mania, and you kind of give that Triple H and Sheamus vibe from some years back, and how Sheamus ended up overcoming that and actually beat Triple H that year. And he kind of threw things off, and it kind of started Sheamus's rise to the top at that point. If you are going to get Becky and Rhea, I think that's going to be at Elimination Chamber. Based on the poster I saw yesterday, Rhea's going to main event Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
So her and Becky as the main event makes a lot of sense in that aspect. I do think that Rhea is going to end up fighting Liv or Nia at Mania, and I think I think Rhea's keeping this title probably for another 5-6 months. To be honest with you, I don't see anybody beating her.
She's walking out of Mania as champion still. There's no doubt. Absolutely.
But I do think that ultimately Bayley does get over the top. Since Charlotte is hurt, I do think they're going to pull a Daniel Bryan at Mania, and they're going to throw Bayley, Io, and Bianca in a triple threat for that title at Mania. Because you can't, regardless of how anybody feels about Bianca, she can't not be at Mania, especially with just looking at the entrance that she had last year at Mania with the dance crew. They're not going to let her not be on the show. And she's not going to be on the pre-show, and she can't be in some, I guess if they do a women's Mae Young or some crap, whatever they do.
Mae Young classic.
Whatever they do. Like she can't just be a part of that. Like Bianca has to be on the big stage. But throwing and having Bayley beat Io and Bianca would kind of get back everything that she's lost over the last year and a half. It would kind of be like that poetic justice for her. But that's what I'm thinking with all this. I don't think Becky's winning. I think Becky is gonna get eliminated by Jade. Jade will be ultimately fighting Becky at Mania. And then I think now you have 4 or 5 women's matches on the card that you can spread out, and they have quality stories behind them as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, I think at Mania, or at least I'm hoping, I don't know, and I had spoken about this too. I think the matchup I'd most like to see is Rhea and Jax for one title, and then Bayley, Io for the other one.
I think that just makes the most sense. And like I said, with Bianca not having anything, you throw her into that, it just makes the win just that much sweeter for Bayley. Because as we know, they harped last year on, damn, Bayley only won 2 matches in a year and a half span.
Yeah.
So this is her chance to completely flip the narrative. I do hope that, I know we're talking about returns, I do hope that Trinity comes back, but I hope she does come back as Trinity. I don't want her to come back as Naomi. Come back as
Trinity Fatu.
You are not who you were before. Same thing with Mercedes or Sasha. If she comes back, you have to be Mercedes. But I don't think Sasha's coming back. I think she's going to come back after Mania. And I think that's where they're saving it. I think she's going to probably do a couple more Japan dates when she gets back. And then she'll be back in the fold after Mania. But I don't think she's coming back anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like I said, ultimately, you may see Liv come back. I don't necessarily want to see Liv and Rhea at Mania. But for some reason, everybody I know is stuck on the idea of that. I don't know what kind of match you think that Liv is going to produce that's going to amount up to anything to what she did with Charlotte last year, especially. But I think like I said, Bayley wins. She acts like she's going to fight Rhea, but she's really not. And then you just go from there.
You mentioned Liv Morgan, Jalen. I think honestly, and I spoke about it, Brian, you can back me up on it about Liv Morgan. I also think she's just another female wrestler that just gets a really bad rap. Is she great? No. Is she a solid, consistent talent? Absolutely. And I think in regards to Rhea and Liv, I think that there's just a really good story there because Rhea was the one to write off Liv off television. And that's a story that you can develop, at WrestleMania. I mean, that's a good discussion to have, whether maybe at WrestleMania, maybe at SummerSlam or after WrestleMania, they'll probably do it. Maybe, I don't know, at some type of Payback or Backlash event. Who the frick knows? But I mean, with Liv and Rhea, there's a story to be told there. And I think she's better than what honestly a lot of people give her credit for. So
my issue with her is I think she's great. I think it's just that the character, there's still something about her that's like this, it's like a combination of like this sweetness, sadness, almost like a woe is me aspect of her character that is just, if you're going to go against Rhea or Nia Jax or something, it's not believable, or it's not like
it still doesn't.
You're going in there and getting your ass kicked.
It doesn't connect with a lot of people.
With like an edge.
I just think it's there, regardless of what character. Maybe I think she just needs to find that persona that's comfortable for her, as well as it just gels with the people. But, and I think that's just why. Like I see, it's the same thing with with Roman Reigns to a degree. Like when he was doing the big dog shtick and he was the face and everything. As much as we wanted to bash Roman Reigns, like you knew something was there at times, right? And it was just about like, okay, let's turn this dude heel. And I know there's times where, don't turn somebody heel just to turn somebody heel. Well, Roman Reigns was at that point to where, okay, and same thing with Hulk Hogan at the time when he joined NWO. Like it's time, man, and then just go into freaking high gear with it. So we'll see in regards to Liv Morgan, but she is an odds-on favorite to win this Rumble or be a part of it and be a surprise entrant. So we shall soon find out in regards to that. But great takes from everybody. But let's finally get into this final match, and that is the men's Royal Rumble match. So I will pull up the odds in regards to this match. The odds-on favorites for this match, of course, I'm sure most of you can figure out who it is. It's CM Punk. And of course, this could also change in regards to Seth Rollins, because again, Seth Rollins is injured. He has the torn MCL, the torn meniscus. So who knows? They can also change plans about if Punk wins this Rumble or not. Before we came on here, Brian, me and you talked about what they can do with this world title. I truly believe that at this point with the Elimination Chamber, because Roman Reigns is not being advertised for this event, they're probably going to do something with the world title, and they're probably going to have the title up for grabs in that Elimination Chamber where maybe Punk wins it, Drew McIntyre maybe wins it, who the hell knows. But CM Punk, as of right now, is the odds-on favorite to win this matchup. And of course, the other favorites that are on here, of course, is Cody Rhodes, who is second in this list. You have Gunther, as well as The Rock. Yes, The Rock, ladies and gentlemen, I know. As well as surprise entrants. Of course, you got Brock Lesnar, who is a part of the betting odds. And guys, this is fucking hilarious. MJF is a part of the betting odds to freaking win this Rumble
I would
match.
love that.
He's plus 1,000
I would love
in
that.
this betting odds. That would be freaking hilarious if that freaking happens. That's a different discussion.
If that happened, like even in that arena, they would not in a destructive. They would riot, just not in a destructive way, just because. Holy shit, MJF is in the
if that happens,
WWE.
AEW has to tell Edge to pack his bags, come back to WWE, and just close the whole business. As this, you mean to tell me your top heel just gradually went to your competition? And first of all, that'd be great because there's no rumors of him coming whatsoever besides that little part of the betting odds. So if that happens, AEW just has to close this. Tony Khan gotta go somewhere, gotta take a vacation.
Can you imagine them two? Can you imagine them MJF and CM Punk and Cody like the last?
Oh my god.
Oof, God, that crowd would be lit.
That would be great.
Oh my goodness, man!
I'm going to be glued to my Twitter timeline.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Oh, I was to say that's a Twitter and freaking social media. That's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Freaking talk about breaking the internet. That's
Tony Khan has a huge announcement about tickets being available.
Oh my god! Fucking Christ. Big announcement! AEW Dynamite. Yeah, freaking, we got tickets selling for all in. Go buy your tickets. Are you?
Right. I know you guys are James. You'll know for being down here in Charlotte. The Panthers, like the last 2, 3, 4 games of the season, dude, they were giving tickets literally $1, $2 football tickets.
I heard.
Yeah.
I'll start off with Shane. Shane, man, Your thoughts, man, about this Royal Rumble? Who's winning it? Who should win it? Your thoughts, bro. Start this off. The floor is yours.
Oh man. This Royal Rumble is gonna be real interesting. And now since the bets on Nas with MJF, I will be surprised. But yeah, I think CM Punk takes the W here. To me, it makes sense. Punk is back. I mean, what more can you ask for? He finally gets his dream, the main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now with Seth Rollins being injured, you could kind of do something with the world title. I mean, I know they was cooking Drew and Punk, so you could kind of have Elimination Chamber with Drew McIntyre could win it. Then we can get Punk and Drew. I still think that'll be a banger. Call me crazy. You could get maybe Cody winning the world title. You got Punk and Cody. I know it's crazy, but hey, I'll be all for that too. Overall, I think Punk's gonna win. The surprise interest, God forbid, I hope it's MJF. That'd be dope, but I doubt it. I don't really, besides Brock, I don't really see no other really huge surprises coming into this Royal Rumble. I think overall it's gonna be real interesting. It's gonna leave a lot of question marks. Who really wins it? But yeah, my bet's on Punk all the way.
Unfortunately, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's an obvious outcome of who is actually winning. I will say this: I just don't want them to do the shit they did last year with Cody and have him come out as 30.
30?
Oh yeah.
I hated that. I hated that so much. I do think that this Rumble is going to be a lot different because it's going to be a story establishment. I think somebody made that point earlier. There are so many stories that are going to be established and get set up for Mania.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Punk winning. And I just got 4 or 5 more matches set up for that in that time period. Because, like you said, obviously you may have Jay and Gunther at some point.
Yep.
You got Drew and Sammy probably. Cody's got to have something. Who else is kind of big right now on that? It looks like they're trying to turn Austin Theory face, which is it's a small thing, but it looks like that's what they're leaning towards. Unfortunately.
What's the latest with his I haven't heard anything since that injury.
So what's happening is in interviews now, they have Grayson Waller kind of like doing the whole I'm signing you up to do things. Like he's got to go to Carmelo Hayes next week. And Grayson Waller was the one that was like, hey, Austin doesn't have anything to do. He can wrestle you next week.
Gotcha.
So I can see them kind of working that and that just being like a little small. That would be your Omos and Brock Lesnar from last year's match.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of there.
Brock Lesnar and Gunther.
The Judgment Day has to do something because at some point you can't be the best faction in this building and literally have nothing. Like we haven't talked about them at all this entire that night, and that's a problem. You can't be the big. And I think James, me and you talked about it when I came on the podcast some months ago. That the Judgment Day being everything is still continuing to this day, but there's not one staple win that they've had that makes sense to be like Finn wrestled a dark match last night with Jay in Atlanta, and I forgot Finn was a champion. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, tag champs.
Because Finn, I think of like the D-Man, I think of like the NXT Finn, and I'm like, man, you are literally a side character at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that can be established. I don't know what the hell Damian Priest can ship that briefcase back to WWE at this point.
For real. Thank you. Holy crap.
I spoke my piece about that, so I ain't gonna say nothing about that.
I don't think that. I still think that Seth is going to wrestle at Mania, but I think that they're going to pull. I don't know why everybody's getting so like, oh my god, he's got to take time away. Roman takes off time, and ain't nothing wrong with him. So it doesn't. So if Seth can take off a month or two and be okay, Let him
Yeah.
heal up. I think he's going to fight that one match at Mania, and then I think he's going to be off TV for a while.
For on
after.
TV for a while. Mm-hmm.
Because you can come back from a meniscus. I think it is like a 10-week process.
It's a month.
So
About a month,
I think.
or no? Yeah, it's like four.
It's
It's like
a
four.
month.
Depending on the tear, it's like I guess
Yeah.
meniscus. Right now they're projecting it to be like 4 to 6 weeks in that time frame.
This thing was an MCL, right?
yeah,
MCL and
MCL and
partially torn.
If it's an
Partial
MCL,
torn.
if it's an
It's a
MCL,
torn MCL and a partial torn meniscus. Is
if
what
it's
we
an
know.
MCL, he could definitely come back. That's why when I saw it, I'm glad it wasn't an ACL, because if it was ACL, he's 100% missing Mania and probably SummerSlam at that. Like
Yeah.
So with that, I think that helps him. Only reason why I said the 10 weeks is because I know a lot of his moveset is based around the knees.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't put on the match that you want to put on with somebody like CM Punk if you can't be as close to 100% as possible. So yeah, take your one match, take your time, get back healed, take your time off TV after that. There's nothing wrong with after Mania. We don't see Seth Rollins until Money in the Bank or Survivor or SummerSlam. That's cool. For Punk, then it gives him an opportunity to fight a Drew. He may even have a run-in with Cody somehow. You may have Sammy. You may have Sammy that wants the title. It just gives you a chance to not, okay, well, do the typical, I fought you at Mania, now at Backlash I have to give you a rematch. It gives you a chance to start something new for a change.
I'm sorry, I freaking lost it when you said Austin Theory as a babyface.
Listen, I see him, the way that I see him pop up on
it could
their
happen.
Instagram,
That's why I'm laughing. It's just too.
They pop up. He pops up on their Instagram and Twitter so much, and he's always high fiving the kids. And it's never anything in like a bad light. Like even on Twitter or anything. Like MJF is a legit heel, even on Twitter and all this stuff. Because you see how he interacts with people. Every time I see Austin Theory, he's shaking hands. He's telling stories about how he hung out with kids, doing this, and this. And I'm like, no, Austin Theory is moving to that face side.
Fuck me, man. Jesus Christ.
It's kind of the tale of two stories that I would think who has the best shot of winning the Royal Rumble. You have this one story of CM Punk, a guy whose last match was the Royal Rumble, finally coming back after 10 years and maybe winning the thing. Like, how crazy would that be? And then you have the other one with Cody going back to back and being among the names of a Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels as one of the few that would do it. Now, I understand I had a problem with Cody coming in at number 30 last year and winning, but that automatically put him in a category of guys who won the Rumble from the number 30 spot. You had Cena, Taker, Lesnar, Triple H, and now you had Cody in that mix, and now he's part of that select few group. And if Cody were to go back to back, it gives him another accomplishment that Roman hasn't achieved. Like, he got endorsed by Brock Lesnar. He won his father's match. He got the winning fall in his father's match. And now Cody going back to back, doing something that Roman could never do. And then you could play off Roman going on Cody's insecurities of, hey, you already did this before, and we all know how that ended up last time. So you could kind of build that if that is the direction to go. Now with Seth Rollins' injury, it puts a lot of things more in flux, because now when the WWE World Heavyweight Championship was created, if you guys remember, it was a weird tournament that was both Raw and SmackDown superstars. So do they make this Rumble for the world title if Seth Rollins can't compete? I would say it's a possibility. I do like the Elimination Chamber idea to get a kind of a hook for the chamber, but I'm not going to rule out the possibility of this World Heavyweight Championship if Seth Rollins couldn't defend it. Right. Because originally, before this injury, I thought an interesting thing that they could do is Seth Rollins coming into the Rumble and throwing out Punk and sort of going to that feud because Seth is acting like Punk, like the whole Punk chants aren't bothering him. But again, he's going to try everything in his power to try to detour Punk, because babyface Seth Rollins it's a hard nut to crack because he doesn't have a definitive character. He has the theme song. He has the
theme song.
He has the laugh. He has everything. It's like the pieces are there. It's just like the puzzle isn't put together right away. I thought like the best version of Seth Rollins was the gauntlet match Seth Rollins he had like in 2018 when he had that amazing run. So it puts things in flux. And then you have Gunther, who was bragging on Raw about his longest time spent in a Rumble match. And that's just kind of a setup to what I think is going to happen at the Rumble with a eventual face-off with Brock. I definitely think that's what it's leaning towards.
Yeah.
And Brock taking out Gunther. And I put out a video on this, whether it should be for the Intercontinental Championship or not. I don't think it will hurt if the IC title is on the line for that match. I mean, Gunther has put it up as prestigious as one could put that championship on. So I think something's going to happen with that. Then you have Drew with Sami Zayn coming back. They could have their thing going on, depending whether or not the World Heavyweight Championship is up for grabs, and Sami Zayn's journey of trying to be world champion and trying to show Drew this is the right way to do it. And Drew saying, no, this is the wrong way to do it. But again, it's going back to what my head's saying, what my heart is saying. My heart is saying Cody. Head is saying Punk for the Rumble win. But overall, this should be probably one of the most fun matches of the year, in my opinion, just because everything is such a big question mark, and a question mark in a good way. Not that, oh God, we have no reasonable winners to win this Rumble like in previous years. Now it's just kind of like, okay, we got the Cody story over here, we have the Punk story over here, we have the McIntyre story, the Gunther story. And that's what I love about Rumbles. There are all these like little mini stories that get settled or start in this match. And then you kind of like blow it up to something bigger and bigger. And then you have that lead off and blow off at WrestleMania. And I think it's the perfect opportunity to set the WrestleMania card in motion. And of course, The Rock coming back. Since it's Miami, there's a strong possibility that The Rock comes back. And I think it would be pretty interesting if he were to win the Rumble. I don't think he needs it because he's The Rock. But again, anything could happen in WWE, they say. So The Rock winning, I could definitely see that happen.
I can feel the animosity on social media and Twitter right now if The Rock were to actually win the fucking match, bro. Oh my goodness.
I think the writing is on the wall. Obviously, the Cody thing, I could see them two being the last two. That would not shock me at all. But I think CM Punk is definitely going to go and take that. I think an Elimination Chamber kind of also, I forgot who brought it up, but there could be a situation in Elimination Chamber where they could possibly also be the last two, and Cody could possibly be the champion, and CM Punk and Cody could be in that matchup for WrestleMania. I think that's a good look. I think, you talk about Cody being back up top and him finally getting a title, even if it's not with Roman, and you could peek off of Roman and The Rock in that sense. You don't have to involve Cody, and that would be a fun matchup in my opinion. That's a matchup I'd really like to see. But I think CM Punk could win that, and hopefully MJF breaks the internet and comes through. Honestly, I just stick it to Tony Khan, honestly, because he's been talking too much shit, and nobody's holding him back. Nobody's holding him accountable. I think MJF needs to do that just for the one time. I mean, it would be pretty funny, but I mean, you've heard him give Triple H a load amount of credit. He shouted out Triple H a couple times in interviews, so it wouldn't be shocked if Triple H hit him up on some. Listen, you don't even have to show up on Raw the next night. Just for the one time, just for the love of the aspect of just the shockerness of Royal Rumble. Like Royal Rumble is all about shocking, superstars coming through. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? He comes in at a random number and the place just go nuts. That Absolutely. I would like that, but I got CM Punk winning the whole thing, and I think it could be Punk and Rhodes at WrestleMania.
Like everybody else, man, I'm gonna probably Punk. If I'm putting money on it, it's Punk. But man, I for me, a dark horse or who I would prefer to see win it at this point with just all the questions with Rollins, right? Like, no, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple months, but particularly if Rollins is maybe going to miss Mania or it's just too much in doubt to bank on it. I say Drew McIntyre, man. And I know maybe this is almost kind of like running it back, but have him win the Rumble. Like, I do expect Brock to be back. There's definitely going to be a Gunther Brock moment in there setting up that story. But I think, man, if you have Drew, who I think is, in recent memory, he's doing the best work, since turning heel. And man, if you have him win the Rumble and then say Seth is out for a bit or whatever, I think a Punk and Drew, because I really do, I know we're in this, drama sells tickets, right? Drama tells the story. Like the same kind of animosity between a Rollins and a Punk. That's real there with Drew as well. Mm-hmm. And you go back to his title run in the pandemic era, and that's what I mean about like running it back, man. If you could have him, I mean, like he'd have to eliminate big people, right? Does he eliminate a Brock again or something like that? But it's gonna be Punk, but I'd really, just as a dark horse, man, I would love to see McIntyre just shock the crowd, man. If Rock does appear and actually enters the Rumble, then I'd say he's winning that. Like, there's even over Punk. If he's in the Rumble, The Rock is winning the Rumble.
Yeah. Brian, you said a very interesting thing right there with McIntyre and Punk. How apropos would it be if, hypothetically, if McIntyre's the champion or not, that Punk's the one who has to step up? Because McIntyre, people know his contract is coming up. He's in a very similar position that Punk was in during that famous Money in the Bank match with John Cena. So I think that would be kind of cool to play on that factor, because McIntyre's he's McIntyre's character is like, he's just telling the truth. He's just telling it like it is. It's just he's just a jerk about it. So right. That's pretty much his entire character. And what if it's just like
heels being dickheads? I said that.
The best heels are the ones that you could understand why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
And McIntyre definitely has that aspect about him of being wrongly just like screwed out of opportunity after opportunity. It's just he's putting his own delusional spin on it and making himself seem like the pseudo hero in this, while Punk's the villain. Well, that is true, but at the same time, the way he's going about it is not really how he's the anti-villain, so to speak. Right. So it would be a very interesting thing if McIntyre and Punk would be the new direction. Or maybe if it's like Punk, McIntyre, and Rollins. I don't like triple threat matches as main events of WrestleMania, but I could see this one being a very valid matchup.
Yeah,
there.
For sure.
No, but like a bunch of you guys have mentioned, and like I said, with the possibilities of who is going to return. Not that I think he's going to win or this be a huge return, but Andrade, that's another name that might be an entrant. But yeah, there's just so many storylines and avenues to go down, and that's part of what I like about the Rumble too, because within the match, like I said, you're going to get that Brock and Gunther moment, and the little stories that they're telling within the match, man, that's what I love about it. So if I'm betting on it, I'm saying Punk's probably winning. And but even with this, how great would it be if, say, the last two entrants or the last two remaining are Brock and Punk, both Heyman guys.
Yeah. Which goes to show all you need to do is win a Royal Rumble is to punch Jack Perry in the face.
Oh man, guys, this has been tremendous. This was great. I appreciate all of you guys for joining us for this roundtable, and thank you guys to everybody tuning into this video, as well as tuning in onto Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will put everybody's social medias down below in the description box for you guys to go check everybody out. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode, another edition of the Ruthless Talk Roundtable. There will be more editions of this roundtable. Our next big roundtable event will be for WrestleMania, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that coming up this spring, as we're going to be gearing up for WrestleMania, and hopefully everybody enjoys the pay-per-view. It is a week from today, so who knows, man? We all got our takes, we all got our debates, but it's going to definitely be interesting to see how everything unfolds. But thank you guys, all of you guys, for tuning in, and thank you to all of you guys, David, Richie, Shane, Jalen, for being a part of this, man. And of course, just again, man, I can't thank you guys enough for the support. on all of our platforms for tuning in. And hopefully, you know, you guys are always a part of this this community. You're feel free to come back at any time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if we're going to be a part, we're going to be doing a lot of these events, these types of episodes coming forward. So appreciate all of you guys. So of course, make sure to guys go check them out. Put all of their stuff down below. And of course, make sure you guys check us on our social medias. Of course, you see the banner down below. Make sure to subscribe to our new YouTube channel. We are close. Already 50 subscribers already in just a short amount of time. So I want to appreciate everybody for subscribing to our new YouTube channel as well. Of course, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Of course, you can see, I said it last episode, my man Brian is finally on freaking Instagram. In the words of LeBron James, it's about damn time. I'm just kidding, Brian.
Man,
anyway.
no, you're right. And I'm gonna be the old man learner. I don't know what the fuck to do, but here we are, man.
Here we are.
Hashtag WWE.
Right. Love it, man. Love it. Want to thank you guys again, everybody. Again, Richie, Jalen, Shane, David, for being a part of this, man. Again, stay tuned for more professional wrestling chaos to come. Fellas, any final thoughts before we end this show?
I'll just say thank you again to all you guys for joining, and welcome back anytime, man. Absolutely. It was a pleasure having you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And that is going to do it for today's edition of the Roundtable, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And until next time, and there will be a next time, your boys are signing off saying salute